Nittany Lions, let's rip the Band-Aid off. We got to look at this in plain view before we're going to fix the team struggles, but offensive struggles as well. The final score on that one, Oregon 30, Penn State 24. They sealed the deal off a Drew Aller interception. Oregon outgained Penn State 591 yards to 419 total yards. 340 for the Ducks in the passing game compared to just 137 in the passing game for Drew Aller and Penn State. Didn't feel like the Penn State defense showed up with their absolute game changers that we were promised. If anything, I felt like the Oregon defensive line flashed more, which I made this tweet this morning. But Bear Alexander, the troubled transfer from Georgia by way of USC, now went to Penn State, right? And then back at Oregon, he flashed. Where number one as a defensive tackle, he got after the interior of the Penn State offensive line, which was supposed to be a good group. Penn State's still good. That's CFP team on CFP team, but that flashed for me. Penn State's defensive line didn't sack Dante Moore. In 33 minutes of time of possession, they did only give up 2 touchdowns, so that was good. Penn State defense very much battled in there, and that was an Oregon team that going into that game, they were averaging 51 points per game. So that's pretty solid. Only 2 touchdowns in that game in regulation. So if the defense isn't necessarily the issue, then our eyes and our heads have to turn to the offensive side of the football. Drew Aller last night, 14 for 25, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, the costly 1 pick, 3 sacks as well, which I'll get into the pressure there. And then again, the stat that really stuck out to me, so much was made about their transfer portals. They went and got Kyron Hudson from USC, who I loved. They went and got Trevor Pena, which I had him in person a couple times last year at Syracuse. Little slot machine. Those option routes weren't working against Oregon. Credit that secondary. Devontae Ross did have 4 catches, though. Didn't even get Kyron 1 catch in that game. Drew did have 16 carries. No, the offense had 16 carries for 34 yards. Drew Aller against top 6 teams as a starter, 0-6, 50% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The narrative that they asked James Franklin in the postgame presser, it does come through on the Drew Aller stats. So this is a spider chart, as they call it, and you're going to see on the left-hand side. So I'm backing up. When Sean Clifford, accomplished Penn State quarterback, the narrative a few years ago was very much excitement about the future of Drew Aller. Hey, we finally have like an NFL guy. And I know Clifford, was in the NFL a little bit, but in terms of like a big-time NFL prospect, the thought was that Drew Aller would unlock this passing game and that there would be whole new levels to it. And this spider chart very much shows that. You can see, the larger the area is, the larger the Navy area is, the more production you're getting out of the quarterback. For example, some of these categories, EPA, that's a nuance. Like my PFF football stat junkies will love that one, but just think about it like success level. So you're talking about turnovers, you're talking about sack rate, you're talking about pass yardage, you're talking about late down success rate. This is a noteworthy metric. Early down success rate, explosive plays. The point I'm trying to drive home visually, though, is that year one or those early years with Drew Aller very much accomplished what Penn State fans were hoping. More explosion under Drew Aller. But then when you look at it from 2024 to 2025, again, TikTok, check out Max Brown on YouTube for these chats. 2024 on the left here, very productive. That's the chart we just saw. Very productive, explosive from an early down standpoint, explosive just from an explosive play standpoint. That to me taps into the whole Andy Kotelnicki chatter about being creative and unlocking explosives. Look at the chart on the right. This is this season. The percentiles from Drew Aller in the 2025 season. Late down success rate, terrible. You're talking about early down success rate, not as good, and then explosives, terrible. These 2 branches on the spider, webs on the spider, are glaring differences from the success that everyone was hyping up Penn State's offense on last year compared to this year. You're looking at late down success rate, terrible, explosive play success rate, terrible. And then for more context, or actually, let me give you some stats to back that up. They're converting their third down percentage just 37.5% of the time. That's 79th in the country. And they've played some bad teams. We all know that. They haven't played necessarily. Actually, I got to refresh my mind on who they've played, so I don't want to say that. But, it hasn't been world beaters necessarily. And then against Oregon, they were 6 for 15 on third down there. To add insult to injury, here's the third chart. Check this out. Your old familiar face, Bo Prabula. This is his chart. That looks a lot like what Drew Aller did last year. Bo Prabula, pretty strong across the board. In terms, and really the only category he's not good in is the only category he's not good in is sacks and early down success rate, which usually if you don't have early down success rate, you're not going to have late down success rate. Maybe that contribute or that the reason that's the case is because of Bo Prabula's legs, which is an added element to Drew Aller. But the reason I bring this up is for you Penn State fans, this is the guy you let walk. This is the guy you have in your under center right now. I'm not saying you should have kept Bo Prabula. I think you should have kept Drew Aller, of course. But I'm saying there's a stark difference between the man on the left, has Missouri rolling, undefeated, doing a lot of good things, a lot of excitement. Drew Aller, preseason #1 quarterback in next year's NFL draft by some, hasn't necessarily lived up to that billing, in my opinion. Didn't play bad, though, which I'll get into. But it hasn't popped like I think we all would have hoped. This right here is a byproduct of a quarterback getting hit a bunch. He's got open receivers. He's got a tight end working the corner here. The tight end's open. Moral of the story, tight end's open. But instead, like right there, I want Drew Aller throwing this ball here against the inside leverage safety. He also has a check down potentially here. I forget what route this receiver is working up top here. Oh, this receiver's on a vertical route to the top. Even taking a shot downfield. I don't necessarily like that. You trust your guy in a vertical route. I don't mind that. But instead, what we see is he tucks the ball down and starts running. He gets 6 yards. All right, you pick it up. But when we go to this back view, that's a clean pocket. That's a clean pocket. You're an NFL quarterback. Give me 1, 2, 3. Hit that tight end. He's open. Let me go back one time just to show you guys. Watch this tight end on the bottom of the screen. That's open. That's open. Maybe they missed Tyler Warren too. That's a different conversation. But you get the point. Getting hit all game. This was 2nd and 7, I believe it was. But he picks it up. All right, next play. They fake the run. Gets out, gets sacks. Biggest thing that jumps out to me is, Penn State made the argument they had the best running back room in the country. Louisville might have something to say about that. Notre Dame might have something to say about that. But there's no stress with the run game. If you're thinking that you have one of the best running backs in the country, which they do, he's an absolute stud. But the flow from from the Ducks should be heavy this way. That doesn't happen one bit. And as a result, again, you're seeing Drew Aller get hit. So that's twice. Critical drive in this game, third quarter, 3-3 ball game. All right, offensive coordinator's like, all right, well, let's get a different way to get a playmaker the ball in space. They pitch it out. Excellent tackle in open field by Oregon. You've been hit twice. Critical third down. You're on the plus side of the territory. This is a critical down in this game. This is 3rd and 8. If you pick up yards on this play, you're probably going for it. In fact, you got to get it here. Here's the marker, 3rd and 8. Even if you get it here, you're probably going for it because you're in no man's land. Drew Aller's been hit twice in this drive, been hit all in the first quarter. This is a poor read by him. He's got to pitch this ball. It's one thing if you're Bo Prabula, you're a dual threat. He's got to pitch this football. Defensive end's hanging right there. I don't know why he didn't pitch that football. It's a mental mistake. That's a byproduct of getting hit, not making a clean decision. Look at the back view here. I'm looking at this defensive end. He crashes down, or if he just stays put, again, you got one of the best running backs in the country right there. If it's Gray at all, you got to get him the rock. Defensive end crashes down, stays a little bit. To me, that's a pitch. Get the ball on the outside, and make it happen. Because if he does, check that. He's got blockers. I think he picks up the first down. You got 2 for here, 2 for here. Just make one guy miss. Regardless, I think you're going for it on 4th down. Reason I wanted to show that, though, impact of Oregon's defensive line, I think, made Drew Aller unsettled at certain points in the game. Didn't allow the offense to get in rhythm. Very, very few completions to the receiver unit. And it's because of a lot of this theme that you're seeing right there.